You mentioned the Democrats don't have much time to lose. If they're going to replace Biden, they better do it quickly. And one name that's always near the top of the list is Gavin Newsom as a possible replacement. You wrote about him this week in the New York Post, and he's the governor of California. California ain't doing too well. Can he fail his way up to the presidency?
I fear he could. Gavin Newsom absolutely wrecked San Francisco, which should be one of the world's great cities, and it's a garbage dump these days. He proceeded to roll out similar policies across California as governor, and has made much of California into a dump as well. He talks all the time about the latest stuff about equity and equality and all that sort of thing, and he presides over one of the most extraordinarily unequal states. He's just sent his own daughter to a $60,000 a year private school, and maybe it's because among her own peer group in the state schools in California, you have kids with like 30% literacy and 34% numeracy. Skills. Now that's just a shameful record. He has no record to run on, but he does have, sadly, the sort of look. A lot of people fall for this. People say he looks presidential. He looks the part. He has good hair. I mean, as we discussed last week, Justin Trudeau has good hair. Doesn't mean he could run Canada. It's the same with Newsom. I do fear that he could fool a certain amount of people. I think he would be a terrible choice, because any Republican running against Gavin just has to point to California. And Ron DeSantis, when he debated Newsom earlier in the year, pointed out all of the things that can be pointed out against Newsom's record. But we'll see. I mean, he's definitely one of the candidates that the Dems are playing footsie with at the moment in their desperate attempt to ease out Biden.
Well, California is such a strange place, because it's so blessed. It's got everything going for it. And like you said, it is a mess. There's so much crime, the gap between rich and poor, the failures in education. We could talk about it all day. Now, what I worry about most with what we saw from the president is the weakness that the Biden administration exudes, and what that means for America, what that means for the world. Particularly when you look at the West's enemies, we are in a period of heightened vulnerability with the likes of Iran, Russia, China, knowing there's a few more months of this chaos in the White House. How do you see that? Because we do have conflict around the world, and you made the point recently that if America was more respected, if the Biden White House was feared, we possibly wouldn't have American hostages still in Gaza, or have a Wall Street Journal journalist in a prison in Russia.
Oh, that's absolutely right, Rita. I'm amazed that there isn't more outrage, really, in America, that an American reporter can be snatched in Moscow and held hostage, that still more than 100 Israelis are hostage in Gaza, including 5 or 6 Americans. I can't understand. I mean, the Thai government got their hostages out from Gaza through some weird deal. Seems that Hamas feared the Thai government or their connections more than they fear the US of A. I think this is, by the way, a very, very important thing for Donald Trump to run on. Which is that there's a situation that has emerged much like 79-80 with the Carter-Reagan election flip. Because if you remember, the Iranian hostage situation of American hostages in Iran was a drumbeat in the election process. And Reagan really soared in those days as he made it clear that if he got into office, the hostages would be released. And lo and behold, Carter was chucked out, Reagan came in, and the hostages were released. I'd like to see Donald Trump do something similar. He can easily stand on that stage and say to Qatar, Iran, Hamas, I know you're listening. I know you're listening. You better keep the hostages. You either make sure you return them the day I get into office. You better have them in perfect condition, or else. And I would like to see that from President Trump. I'd like to see that from any potential leader of the free world. And I think it's shocking that Biden and his administration have spent so little energy on this. And clearly, one of the reasons is that the president himself has no energy. He does take naps in the middle of the day. He is only functioning, it seems, for about 5 or 6 hours a day by the admission of his own officials. That's one reason why America is failing on the global stage.
Now, we've seen plenty of celebrities disgrace themselves with their lunatic views in recent months, from Robert De Niro to Susan Sarandon. And you can add Roger Waters to the list. The former Pink Floyd frontman has always been vehemently anti-Israel, but his demented views have appeared to have got even more fringe-dwelling. Have a look at this.
All the filthy, disgusting lies that the Israelis told after October the 7th.
Like what?
About burning babies and women being raped, which were all completely...
Actually, women were raped.
No, they weren't.
Yes, they were.
Well, there's no evidence.
It's been established by the United Nations.
You can say anything that you want, but there's no evidence.
Actually, there is extensive evidence.
There is no evidence.
Sexual assault and rape. Well, there is.
OK, well, all right, now...
Also, we know what Hamas broadcast on social media.
Calm down. Roger, calm down. Don't sink to his level. All right, I won't.
What level?
Well, stop shouting. Stop shouting back. Let him interrupt you as much as you want. OK.
I don't even know I think he's got some sort of an imaginary friend also called Roger that he's speaking to off camera there. But this rape denial, and I said it's a fringe-dwelling view, but sadly it's not as fringe-dwelling as it should be, because you hear this over and over again from the pro-Palestinian crowd. And it is just so disgusting, so beyond shameful, because there is a great deal of evidence showing how women were raped and sexually brutalised on October 7 and beyond by Hamas, and that there's just this wholesale denial of it, Douglas.
There is, and I think there's a very interesting reason for it. Roger Waters, by the way, I mean, I don't know, I actually can't name a Pink Floyd song. Maybe that's my bad. But I mean, I care not a jot for this man Waters' views on anything. I mean, I don't know, is he a guitarist? If so, he's just sick to playing the guitar. He's obviously a very sick individual, very sick in a number of different ways, a variety of ways. There's a whole conference in that thing we just watched there. But, you know, I think there is a very clear reason why some of these people do want to deny the rapes, to deny the murder of children on the 7th. And it's because if they faced up to it, they would have to ask a question of their own side and of themselves, which they don't want to ask, which is, am I sure we're the good guys? You know, am I sure that my side, my friends in Hamas, in the case of people like Roger Waters, am I sure that I'm on the right side supporting Hamas, supporting the most militant Palestinian extremists, when they seem to be incapable of not raping, not murdering, not killing children, not kidnapping children? Am I sure my side's right? And there are only about two paths you can take from that. One is, maybe I should rethink my support for this terrorist entity and put my support elsewhere. Or you'd have to say, okay, I'm fine with that, by any means necessary. And some of them think that. Some of them do think that. But I would have a much more admiration for these people if, instead of always trying to deny and deny and deny, they actually faced up to the things that their friends do and did and would do again. But this Waters man, as well as a maniac, he's not a man. He can't even face up to the consequences of his own support and thought, such as it is.